We're live. Welcome in, everybody, to the first ever See Us Banter podcast episode. We're making history right here. So excited to be here on opening day 2026. My name is Ethan Arles. Feel free to introduce yourselves, guys.
I'm
You
Zach
turn Z.
Joslin.
Yeah. I'm Ulysses Hammer.
We're excited to get into it. So, Zach, let's just dive straight in. I know you've got a category for us. Most of the times you'll introduce yourself with an icebreaker or something, but we're going to do something a little different, right?
Well, I'll do a little introduction for myself first as well. 25 years old, been watching Mariners baseball since I was born, basically. And well, excited to talk some Mariners. So I guess my category for today is a classic one. I've got the Kelnick jersey on right here, so I've got to start with favorite obscure Mariner. And Yuli, I'll start with you on this one.
Man, the one name came to mind immediately when I thought of this question. It had to be Goody. Like those years with Franklin Gutierrez, I just thought he's always electric. I love the nickname. He's got the power and the defense. Man, I miss that guy. So many good memories.
It's a
How about
great
you,
one.
kid?
My grandma loved him.
Yeah. hmm
I think
hmm
that at corporations they should just go with this instead of your hometown or wherever you're from. Give us a Mariner. That's what people want to know. I'm gonna go with Justin Smoke, guys. I
Mm.
growing up, I thought that Justin Smoke was gonna save this franchise. I still think that he's the Ken Griffey Jr. of Luke Rayleigh's. I'll stick by that. He's got immense power as a lefty. He can flash a little bit of leather there at first base. Sadly, it didn't pan out for him too much, but he did make an all-star game in Toronto, of course, after he left the Mariners. But Justin Smoke, I've still got his jersey hanging up on my wall somewhere. He'll always have a special place in my heart. What about you, Zach?
Yeah, I did a little background research after Yuli came out with the banger of Gutierrez. How much WAR do you think Goody put up in his best season? I
In
feel
his
like you might
best.
have this one memorized.
I don't know. You're giving me too much credit there. I'll let Yuli guess first, and I'll give you whether I think it's over or under.
I'm gonna say like 4.7.
Oh, it's way over that. I'll say
Really?
17. I'll go 17.
Oh,
I'm talking in one season.
Oh, excuse me. No, it is not 17. He's putting up Tungsten Armo Doyle, numbers if it's 17. In one season, I think four is pretty good. That's a pretty good over under to have. I'll go slightly over just because he flashed some leather at center field. Great defender, had decent pop as Yuli said. I think he probably had a 20 home run season. I'll say slightly over four. I'll give him 4.5.
Franklin Gutierrez had 6.6 WAR in
Wow.
2009.
yeah.
Wow.
The OPS under 800, 764. So almost all of that from his defense. We don't
Man,
talk enough about Franklin Gutierrez, apparently.
Injuries derailed
what a
a Hall
beast.
of Fame
His
career
prime
with
years.
that one.
Well, I'll
hmm
tell you guys what. My favorite obscure Mariner, I don't know if it counts, so I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts. It's Jared Kelnick. Just the passion he came out with. To this day, wanted to jersey into the office, berated. I got 3 comments from different people on Kelnick. One of them said that I have to change my jersey, which, come on, guys. Everyone knows the obscure jersey is the best one. And then another person to my left in the office says, looks like the Kelnick dream is over. He's going to put up a great season. And he says, in AAA, as he got demoted from the Chicago White Sox opening
Yeah,
lineup.
yeah,
Just
yeah,
absolutely brutal for us. But my backup,
yeah.
if we were saying that one wasn't obscure, JJ
hmm
Putz. I loved
Yeah,
him
that's
out
a
of the
good name.
bullpen.
That's a good
Yeah.
one.
Electric. He's coming
I,
out to
I've
into the
Yeah.
lightning.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I've still got a little JJ Puts train somewhere. I don't know why that was ever a promotion, but it's a little train and I
Mhm.
have it up in my room somewhere.
That his intro might be one of my earliest Mariners memories. Like sitting there with the old screen, the old yellow screen, and the old like Safeco
Yeah.
sign. Just the most electric intro I can remember. Yeah.
Yeah, Zach, I'll give you Jared Kelnick. I'm a Kelnick truther as well. I was a big fan. I remember
Mhm.
telling you when you got that jersey, he might hit 181 and break a water cooler and play for 2 seasons, but that's going to be a hell of a jersey to have either way. And I think you might have to give it a few years before I'll consider it an obscure Mariner, but a beloved Mariner nonetheless. So that's a good one.
Well, he breaks his feet with the best of them. So Jared
That's
Kelnick,
right.
obscure
That's
Mariner.
right. Love the passion that kid plays with. Well, we'll keep it rolling here, guys. We're gonna roll on to first thing we wanted to talk about. Opening day tonight. I know we're all excited. I know Zach and I will be getting out to the ballpark at some point this weekend. Can't wait. I think it kind of sprung up on us this year, partly because when you're playing a month further into the season than we're ever used to playing, makes the offseason feel a hell of a lot shorter. And there was also the WBC, and so felt like opening day kind of crept up on us this time. But sort of on that topic, we'll just go ahead. What is a successful season for the 2026 Mariners? When you look up at the end of it, what needs to happen for you to consider it a success? Whoever would like to go first. We'll start off with Zach since you started last time.
You know, I think you guys are going to be a little mad at me for this one. I think it's an ALCS appearance. I
Mm,
don't think it's making the World
good.
Series. The Mariners, I mean, our whole lives, last year was the furthest that they've made it. And an ALCS appearance to me, that's still a successful year. I think I have us between 89 to 91 wins and getting through the ALDS, getting on to the ALCS. I consider it a success at that point. I mean, if you look at expiring contracts, I think Luis Castillo is up after this year. JP's up after this year. What could go wrong, essentially? I think you're building for success at that point. Mariners have a good thing going right now. I think if you have a sustainable season with some internal improvement, like a good Cole Young season, maybe an Emerson appearance at some point, and you get to the ALCS, I mean, it might be nice to not run into the Dodgers buzzsaw.
Okay, I have some thoughts on that, but I'll defer to Yuli first.
Not to go against you there, Zach. I just feel like this fan base has just been fired up since last season, and I think the expectations are just sky high. And I honestly agree with them. Like sometimes it's hard to like ignore all of like the posts and things like the hierarchy, not hierarchy. I'm sorry, just like the offense and the pitching rankings put out there by MLB, just all that. Like, I just think we're in a window right now, and anything less than a World Series appearance, I'm not saying a win, but just feeling that dirt in a World Series, even just game one, just I think this fan base deserves it. I think we're set up to do it. And honestly, I don't want to hate on our guys, but and don't put a bunch of pressure on their backs. But it feels like anything less would be a little bit of a letdown this season. It'd be hard to swallow. What do you think, EK?
Yeah, I have to agree with Yuli on this one. I think last year set a new high watermark for the franchise. Quite literally, had never been to Game 7 of an ALCS, which is ridiculous, but it's true. It was the high watermark. And I think last year, for as heartbreaking as it ended, I mean, we all remember where we were in October when the Blue Jays beat us in Game 7. That was about as heartbreaking as it gets. And we all remember that. But I think that as we look back at last season from perspective 50,000 feet view, once the sting of that loss was over and done with, we were able to say that was a successful season. And if you can take us back going into last season, the Mariners didn't have the kind of expectations that they do this season. So you look at last season, I think you say winning the AL West was a novelty in our lifetime, and making the ALCS was a novelty in our lifetime. Going to Game 7 of the ALCS, that for as painful as that was, the season, when you look at it as a whole, was still a success. I don't think we're going to see that same kind of grace this season. We've been there. The AOS won't be as shiny and new anymore. We're projected as the second best team in baseball, which would mean that we should be one of the top two teams standing. So I don't know if those are fair expectations to say that it's pennant or bust. It's baseball. There's 162 games, and then it comes down to 5 games or 7 games in October, and guys get hot and guys get cold. So I'm not sitting here saying that I expect the Mariners to make the World Series, but I think that at the end of the season, when we're looking back on it, if it ended with anything besides the Mariners winning the pennant, we won't be happy with it.
I mean, are we getting ahead of ourselves though? Like, we didn't make the playoffs 2 years ago. Like, you're having to go back a couple years to even just taste the glory of making the wild card and beating the Blue Jays with Adam Fraser's little loop out to George Springer that everyone crashes into and ends up on the floor for. So,
And that
I
was,
mean, last
yeah.
year, great baseball. So, yeah, I guess the next step, obviously, yeah, I mean, you were at the doorstep last year, or what, 2 innings away? So it's
It it just feels kind of like a stars aligning kind of moment. you have guys like our staff should be entering their primes. Like you look through our rotation, it's still young, but we have guys probably averaging around like the staff's age got to be like average of like 27 years old. These guys are all entering their primes. We've got guys in contract years, our captain, like JP. We've got guys like Cal coming off like historic seasons and people like Julio who have yet to reach that full potential. So it just seems like it's just prime for everything aligning just for that destined run, that team of destiny. Yeah.
Yeah, and I will, and that's a great point. And I will say, to give to Zach's point, I think there maybe is less win now urgency for the Mariners just because of the fact that a roster has been built that is built for sustained success over the long term. Sorry for the misspeak there, but you look at a franchise like the Phillies. You know their window is closing, so you're the Phillies. You need to win it right now. The Mariners aren't quite in that same situation where it's super urgent to win now, but you only get so many of these seasons, and anything can happen in baseball. You can't count on going to the 2029 World Series, and so I think it's important to cash in, and I think we'll be disappointed with anything less.
That's a fair point. There is a next step. That's obvious. You're not guaranteed to get back there. I mean, it took us 2 seasons to get back after our breaks.
And if we're being honest, we're facing a different kind of pressure too with our salary situation. If I'm not wrong, we've heard word that we might even have ownership double dipping, maybe into some other ownership groups, which is honestly a little bit worrying because I'd hope their main focus was the
Oh,
Mariners. If
we
they're
got
already
the
not spending,
Seahawks
I don't see
intro.
that changing. So I don't want to be pessimistic, but it just feels like this has to be the window just because I don't know if we're going to retain this core pitching staff, or I don't know how we're going to keep our hands on all these guys. Yeah.
No, it's a fair point. I think you guys are probably in the right on this one. But is it World Series or bust for you guys? Both?
Pretty much to
AL
me, I'm
pennant,
gonna be honest.
AL pennant.
Mm-mm.
I don't. I mean, we've been to the ALDS games at this point. We've been to the ALCS games. We want more. I want to go to a World Series game.
I guess just to bring us into our next topic now. I know EK and I have these high expectations, but I guess we got to address the elephant in the room of what we could see going wrong, like why we might see them not living up to these high expectations we have. Cool. I guess it started off with Zach. Do you have anything you can foresee us running into in the worst case scenario, I guess?
Well, I think there's a lot of the narratives have a little more depth this year. I think we can start with that.
Hmm.
The lineup's deeper. Brennan Donovan at the top of the lineup brings just a lot more of a consistent bat than I think we've had at the start of seasons before. And then a whole year of Naylor. You have a little slump busting potential there, which is good because I think the Mariners in the past it's been a roller coaster for the lineup. Julio is about as big as it comes for the high highs and the low lows from the start of the year to the end of the year. And then Randy Rosarena goes ice cold for months at a time, and then he's the best hitter in baseball. So I think you get a little more consistency out of that. But at the end of the day, a lineup with Cal and Julio, like driving the runs in, there's potential for slump there. And then, God forbid, either of them goes down. Those are your 2 big producers. I think the season goes wrong if Julio or Cal goes down. And then I think we also need to just consider, I mean, the 6, 7, 8, and 9 spots in the lineup. And you guys, the 6,
Yeah.
7 joke. It's the 6,
Yes.
7.
I'm just
Yeah.
looking at you, Lee. Honestly, keep going.
Yeah.
The 6, 7, the 8, and the 9 hole in this lineup. I think for opening day tonight, we've got Canzone, Bailey, Leo Rivas, and Cole Young in those spots. As good as the top of the lineup is, it's not an inspiring bottom of the lineup. So you're relying on a lot of internal improvement from Cole Young, I think. You're hoping that JP gets back in a quick time, and that kind of leads me into my other point there. If we're missing JP for a month of the season, Leo Rivas is stepping up to be the shortstop of the Seattle Mariners, who are supposed to be a World Series team for you guys. I mean, I think there's a little more questions than we really care to admit for the lineup.
Okay. I agree with what you're saying. I think Mariners are in a place this season where there are fewer question marks, I'd say, on the roster than there's been at any time in my life. And so with that, I think it's not so much what's the one thing that will go wrong, but there are a few different things that would have to compound and go wrong. The bullpen would have to be bad. You'd have to have a couple injuries to the starting rotation or some underperforming bats, or Cal heavily regresses. I think the Mariners can afford a couple different things to happen and still be a very competitive team. And in previous years, even last year or on the 2022 team, you were counting on everything to go right. And if everything went right, then the Mariners were going to be a really good team. But if even one or two things didn't go as planned, then the Mariners were at risk of not even being a playoff team. The floor this year is a lot higher, so that's something to be excited about. I think if I had to single out one thing, I would just go with the bullpen. And it's not that I don't have faith in the bullpen. Munoz is a stud, obviously. Guys like Vargas, and I have Edward
like
Bizarro
Vargas,
being an
crazy.
all-star. Well, Vargas, and Legumina, and I think Bizarro is going to be an all-star this year. That's my sleeper pick. But I just say the bullpen because I have less faith year over year in bullpen performance. I have no doubts that Woo's going to be a stud. Gilbert, Kirby. I think Miller will bounce back even. Maybe you get one of the starting pitchers underperforms, but as a unit, I don't think all of them are going to forget how to pitch. And the same thing with the lineup. Randy and Cal and Julio, these guys are going to be studs. JP is a consistent producer. Brendan Donovan was an all-star. So I feel good about the starting pitching rotation, feel good about the lineup. I think the bullpen, I feel good about as well. I think it's a complete team. But if there's one variable that I'm not as confident pinning down, it would be the bullpen. And man, we all know how frustrating it can be if your pitching is dialed in and your hitting is doing well, but then you're giving away games in the seventh and eighth inning. So let's hope that the bullpen performs well.
There is a reason we had to kind of go through a multitude of things that do have to go wrong. Because you're right, the floor is higher for this team, and it's a better place to be in.
How about we get a little funky here? How about we get a little food items, man? Let's get the people riled. Let's get them excited, man. What do you got, EK?
All right, lots of new ballpark items at T-Mobile Park. For those that don't know, I don't know what they have at Yankee Stadium. For those that don't know, Yuli lives in New York, so we'll give them your full address for all the listeners. But at T-Mobile Park, no problem. I remember 2021 summer going to a ball game with you guys. I distinctly remember it was a nice hot day, and we're all picking out food, and I make a beeline for the crab shack.
It's the crab sandwich.
And I get myself a crab sandwich, and everyone flames me for it for my crab sandwich. But guess who wants to try a bite? Every single one of you guys. So this year, I've got my eye on the crab nachos. I'll be making a beeline for those crab nachos. It's the upgrade from the crab sandwich 5 years later, and no, I will not be sharing with you guys. What do you guys got?
Boy is getting the crab sandwich. No, a crab nacho at the baseball game.
I won't be sharing it this year.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm excited for.
Yeah.
I'm excited for a Mariners theme. I'm excited for we're on the water. I'm excited for we're having cheesy chips. I'm looking forward to the boat nachos. They float. The boat floats. Have you heard?
What do you need them to float for? Are you going into the bathtub with your nachos? What's going on?
Where else am I going to eat my nachos?
That's the dream.
I'm bringing them home to my apartment, and I'm enjoying some little boat nachos as I watch my little shows while I go to bed.
All right, so you can jump into Lake Washington, and you can bring your nachos with you to celebrate a Mariners win, right?
Absolutely.
Or the fountain at UW. If they clean all the duck stuff out of it, then you can jump in there and bring your nachos. You will get a rash, but you will have your nachos.
Zach, you stole my freaking pick. Zach stole my pick. I'm gonna be honest. I Google searched those food items. First thing that came up was that image of the boat, and my mind was blown. I was like, the marketing geniuses, they really did it this year, man. I don't care if that boat's $50. I'm getting my hands on one. If I'm coming back to Seattle, you're gonna see me carrying at least 2 of those suckers back home with me in my suitcase.
You know,
That's the
here's
perfect.
here's
Huh?
here's my issue. I'm sorry to cut you off. What else you got?
That was it. No, please, please.
Here's my issue with the boat guys, and you can call me a fat, you can call me whatever, but when they make it in the boat, I'm just really worried I'm still gonna be hungry after it. Okay, they're gonna dress it up in a boat. They're gonna make it look all pretty. It's a memorabilia item. You can take it into Lake Washington with you, but I'm just worried they're not gonna give you enough actual chips. You're gonna spend $25 on it, and you're still gonna be hungry. At the end of the day, give me a
Is that
value
boat
dog,
not
guys.
hollow? Is that boat not hollow? I don't know, man.
That boat is
I
hollow.
don't know.
Yeah,
Is the boat
I think the
hollow,
boat's
Zach?
it's a
hollow.
deep
I
boat.
think I think there's layers to it. I think it's a deep boat.
Give me a value hot
I
dog.
think the boat goes
Matter of fact, give me 2 value hot dogs.
Let's be honest, we're all
Well,
just getting
speaking of
value
which,
hot dogs. This stuff is yeah. Huh?
I think the Mets have a 999 this year. So
Oh
I
boy.
think it's a bit of a cheat. And people on the internet, the people were saying, the real people were saying that I think it's half beers. They
Oh
give
boy.
you it in a little carton, and then you've got 9 beers lined up. So 3 rows of 3. You've got 9 hot dogs, but the hot dogs are, again, it's smaller than a value size dog. It's like this big. And I don't know. I don't think it's a 999 personally, but we'll
Yeah. This is 99 with the training wheels. Oh
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
999 with training
my
wheels.
god. Did you look at the hot dogs? They're mini hot dogs too. Each
I
hot
told
dog is
you,
like half a hot
they're
dog.
tiny.
Yeah, those aren't hot dogs. Those are pigs in a blanket. That's
Yeah.
there we go.
I'm being honest. If you see your friend carrying one of these to your seat, you gotta smack them on the backside of the head. They gotta get their things together.
You
I
gotta
mean,
get
to be
attacked
honest,
in the
man.
back of their head. I like your cut,
Like, I
G.
don't know about this.
Yeah, guys, if we're doing the 999, we're doing the full 999, throwing up,
Uh-huh.
crying by the bottom of the third inning, going all in on it. You can't do any of that weak stuff.
Mm-hmm.
999 challenge. It's so what? You're telling me I have to drink less at the Mariners game? I can only have lots of good stuff, lots of good food items at T-Mobile Park. End of the day, I can't go wrong with value hot dogs. But we'll bring it back to real baseball a little bit, for as much as you can consider spring training, I guess, to be real baseball. I know that you guys have a different view than me on this. I don't care about spring training. I don't care about the stats. I don't care about the wins and losses. And maybe I'm just saying that because the Mariners suck in spring training and our record was 6-18 or whatever it was. But what do you guys think? I don't care.
Well,
Uh,
I think. Go ahead, Yuli. I'll let you take the start.
Sorry about that. I think at the end of the day, I might have to agree with you. I think it's just about the reps. I think it's just about being there, to be honest. I feel like there's a definitive difference if guys aren't in spring training, aren't getting those reps, no matter what the outcome is. Because I don't know, I think back on it, I felt like every single year we were always switching. It's like, oh, if they're good in spring training, that means they're going to be terrible during the season. Oh, if they're good in spring training, it means they're going to be good to the season. I feel like it flip flopped every single year. At the end of the day, I don't think it matters. All that matters is them just getting reps in my opinion.
You see, this is
What do
where
you
I
think,
have
Zach?
a little bit of a different opinion. I think that
Hmm.
your record doesn't matter in spring training. You'd be foolish to think that it does. There's too many non-roster invites. There's too many minor leaguers that you're taking at bats from. But I do think that having a full spring training, that getting your timing down, and that being out there and getting reps, getting hits, I think it matters. Because at the end of the day, these are professional hitters we're talking about. They're not going to go up to the plate
Mm,
with the intention of not hitting the ball. Like, when people tell me, oh, they're working on things in spring training, I think it's kind of ridiculous from a hitting standpoint. Like, these are professional hitters that hit a ball. They're going to try to hit the ball. And at the end of the day, I think that's what matters in spring training. I think it's mostly an exercise for getting your timing down. It's the most difficult sport in the world for the objective. You're the best player in the world if you hit the ball 1/3 of the time. That's what we always say. But spring training, I think it matters. I think it matters a little more on the hitting side too, because the pitchers, they are working on stuff. They're working on new pitches. They're working on grips. They're working out of the stretch when they'd be in full windup. I think on the pitching side, you can maybe convince me, but hitters, I see Cole Young go off at the end of spring training, and I feel more confidence in him. I see him slumping at the start, and I was a little worried, frankly. But he left it in a good spot. He showed
You
some power.
see,
I think that matters.
you see Jared Kelnick go 0 for 48, and you buy his jersey.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think obviously I'd rather see them do well or not. I don't care if they win or lose. I don't care if an established hitter, a guy like Julio or Cal, is doing well. I think, yeah, they're trying to hit it. I think they do minor tweaks in their swing and check things out. I'm not a hitting coach. I won't pretend to be an expert on it, but end of the day, we're rolling today with opening day, and that's what matters.
All right, I guess that puts us near the end. Let's go around one last time and let's end on a wins prediction for the year 2026 for your Seattle Mariners.
Uh, I guess I can kick us off.
Let's go ahead with a
Oh,
wins prediction, and
yeah.
I'll stipulate. Let's go ahead with a wins prediction and give us, because people tend to overreact in April and first series you lose a few games. How many games into the season would it take for you to be concerned if the Mariners are not playing well? So give us a wins prediction and give us that.
Hmm. I gotta say, this year, I think we're a complete team, but I think this division is as competitive as it's been in a while. I think the A's are going to be sneaky good. They're going to be a tough team to beat. I feel like when they hit their stride, especially if they can pick up some pitching. But that's a big if. Um, I think Texas is still good. The Astros are always from somehow to sneak themselves into the conversation. I think I have it somewhere around. I'd say like 90 wins, 89 wins. Still a really good season. Um, and then as far as time to hit the panic button, hmm, honestly, maybe give me like a week or two out of the All Star break. We expect Julio to be hitting his stride right then, and if we're not seeing prime Julio right there, I'm a little bit worried. Yeah.
I've got something different for this one. First of all, I've got the exact same. I've got 89 wins for the Mariners this year. I think it's a bit of a low prediction, but I have a little bit of a slump in the middle of the season. I have a disastrous road trip in Sacramento where Dom Canzone is out in the outfield. He's fielding a ball. He goes for a basket catch inexplicably. Somehow it goes through his glove. And you've got reporters, you've got Twitter users, you've got your Seattle Mariners fans all going crazy online, wondering what happened as Dom Canzone has his head in his hands after the missed catch, and your TJ Miles of the world, your Lookout Landings, they think that Dom
Your
Canzone
CS
has
banter.
your CS Banter podcasters have come up with some predictions for what could have happened. And the going theory is that Dom Canzone has put his mitt into the oven for too long as he's been going for pizza in Sacramento and he forgot his pizza mitt. So what was he going to use but his glove? And he had a hole in his mitt the entire day. But in reality, I have the Mariners dropping probably say 7 games in the middle of the season. I think they're going to go on a bit of a stretch, and I think it's going to look a little dire for us. We tend to have one of those most of the Jerry Dipoto seasons, I feel like. Just a stretch of bad baseball, Julio swinging and missing. We're having Cal strikeouts. Brendan Donovan maybe misses a couple games. Maybe Naylor's swinging and missing as well. I feel like they're going to go on a bit of a slump, but in terms of when to panic, I if we get to the All-Star break and we're within 5 games of a playoff spot, then I'm not worried. If we hit, say, June and we're 10 out, then I'm very worried. But it takes a lot to be 10 out in June.
Yeah, that's I love that we're already talking about when it's time to sound the panic button. I mean, that was my idea to do that prompt, but it's a funny opening day thing to talk about is when all hope is going to be
Mariners fan.
lost. Yeah, and I can't even say that Dom Canzone instance would be the biggest Mariners moment we've seen. I mean, there that would be pretty par for the course. But guys, you guys have known me for a really long time. I used to be pretty pessimistic about the Mariners. I've been watching this team for a long time, and I remember the 2020 and 2021 seasons were probably the first couple seasons that I was close friends with you guys, and I was saying it's all going to go to shit, and the Mariners aren't going to make the playoffs, and crashing out constantly, and Jonah Heim hits a walk-off home run, and I'm yelling, screaming at Jerry DiPoto in the front office. I decided to turn that around, starting with the 2023 UW football team. I adopted a positive, optimistic approach for my sports teams. And what do you know? The Huskies win 14 games. They beat Oregon twice. They go to the college football playoff and go to the national championship game. I'm keeping that mentality. I've been optimistic about the Mariners. I'm staying bullish about them. I have the Mariners winning 95 games. I think this is the best Mariners roster ever. And I'll include the 2001 team in that. I think that
2001 and 95. Wow.
I don't think that the wins will get there. There's no way this team will win 116 games. I'll say that right now, get that off the way. They won't get within shouting distance of 116 wins. But I do think that this is the most complete Mariners roster we've seen. I have 95 wins. I disagree with you, Yuli. I don't think the AL West is good. I think the A's are a promising young team. I love their hitters. Nick Kurtz is really exciting. He might make a push for the AL MVP. Tyler Soderstrom, Jacob Wilson, great young talent. The Astros, I'm not scared of their brand anymore. You know, I get it. The Astros are always in it. They scare you. I think they're done. I think they're fried. The Rangers, I feel the same way. I don't think that they have good enough hitting in the lineup this year. And the Angels are just the Angels. I think this is the weak division. Should have traded Shohei. I think that, frankly, no one in the AL scares me. You look at the other contenders, and the Mariners seem to be the consensus pick. I'm not saying I'm confidently staking that the Mariners win the pennant, but this year is as good a year as any to be bullish on Seattle. I'm picking 95 wins. I don't think that we'll have to panic, but I'd say that if the Mariners are 5 games under 500 by the end of May, that would be very concerning. I think if they're 10 games under 500 at any point, that would be very concerning. Or if they go into the All-Star break under 500, that would be very concerning. Or going into August without the AL West lead. Any of those things, scenarios would scare me. I don't think it's going to come to that. I think the Mariners never go under 500 this entire season, which we'll see what happens.
That's
we'll see what happens in this series, but that's how I feel, fellas.
All right. I think that's going to wrap us up with the positivity for the rest of the day. It's been a pleasure, gentlemen, and I think we can leave it there. Any last words?
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Very excited to get it back out to the ballpark, and we'll see you all next week.